Hi, I'm Dr. Jarek Conrad. Welcome to Healthy and Black, where I share information about the state of health for Black America across 7 categories, from emotional health to physical health. I became plant-based over 15 years ago after losing so many of my family members to chronic health issues. Now I want to help you take control of your health. Hello, welcome to this episode of Healthy and Black. I am your host, Dr. Jared Conrad. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks since I've done a podcast. There's some good reasons for that. One of them I am very excited about, and I'm going to share all the details with you today. But it's been the other stuff. It's summertime, so the kids are out, so juggling summer camps and family activities and lessons and games and events. Also, vacation. We had a great vacation. We went to Alaska, did an Alaskan cruise. If you have not gone to Alaska, I highly recommend you do so. It was a wonderful experience for us. The only issue that I have is that all the cruise lines have promised that we can handle plant based. We have so many options: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We are going to take care of you. So, my wife and I went through just extra steps to try to make sure we talked to people beforehand. We sent a list of some ideas that they could have, which worked for us when we did a cruise in the past. And we did everything we could to make sure they were prepared for us once we got on that ship. And they weren't prepared for us once we got on that ship. They did well for dinners. They had some great 5-course meals. They're all plant-based. They were terrific. But they seemed to scramble for breakfast and lunch if you're somebody who just didn't want to eat plant-based burgers and French fries and pizza for the whole cruise. But I digress. It was a wonderful experience. Great to go to Alaska. We saw so much wildlife just kind of on the road in the tour bus going to the excursion. You could see bears and eagles, and just a wonderful experience. So I mentioned that I have been very busy, and there's something I wanted to share with you. It is called the WholeQ Mind Body Detox. The WholeQ Mind Body Detox. I've teased this a little bit in previous episodes, but I am ready now to start signing people up. I'm going to spend this episode really talking about why I created this and why I think it's so different than anything else that's out there. But let me start by describing kind of 2 type of people that I had in mind when I created this program. So one of the people, let's call her Nicole Sanders. I'm going to read a little bit about Nicole, and I want you to think about if this resonates. Is this you, or is this someone you know? You know how it's not me, it's somebody I know. So Nicole is a 41-year-old creative director at a fast-paced media agency in Chicago. She's well paid, well respected, and constantly on. But deep down, she knows something is off. The grind hasn't just numbed her, it's rewired her. She's juggling team deadlines, aging parents, 2 kids under 10, and in most nights with a glass of wine and a scroll that turns into a sleep that she doesn't even remember falling into. She jokes about needing a reset, but she's not joking anymore. She can't remember the last time she felt whole. Man, does this sound familiar? So what is she struggling with? Let's learn a little bit about Nicole's health. She struggles with obesity, compounded by chronic stress, takeout dinners, sleep disruptions. She experiences inflammation, fatigue, shortness of breath during daily tasks. She cycles between motivation and burnout when she's trying to lose weight. She feels like she's failing herself no matter how many wellness trends she tries. So what's going to help her? She doesn't really see herself as unwell. She feels like I'm living in a body that no longer matches what my perception of myself is. She's frustrated by feeling like she's being judged or pitied, particularly in terms of wellness and health and in those spaces. So she hides her stress behind high performance at work, but she really feels trapped. She's carrying all this emotional weight from work, from home, everything in between. She's frustrated with the messaging of wellness programs that feel really shallow to her or that they are shaming her. She craves a reset that goes deeper than just the numbers on the scale. She wants a change, but she doesn't want another system to tell her just try harder. Man, I've known a lot of people who sound like Nicole. So I had her in mind as one of the people that I created this program for. Let me tell you about another person, Marcus Reed. So Marcus is a 36-year-old customer service specialist at a large telecom firm in Atlanta. He's been with the company for 7 years. He's a guy's guy, friendly, sarcastic, and known for keeping things light. But lately, the weight he carries isn't just physical, his health is sliding, and his patience is thinner than it used to be. He's not looking to run a marathon or anything like that, but he's tired of living this way. So, what is his health like? He's been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and sleep apnea a couple years ago. He experiences the joint pain, the fatigue, and the occasional brain fog. He's gained weight steadily over the years, and beer nights and skipped lunches have become kind of routine for him. He takes multiple medications, and he feels like all they're doing is just managing his symptoms. They're not really solving anything. He's frustrated, but he feels a little bit resigned, like this is just what happens to people after they turn 30. He doesn't trust quick fixes. He's not into these wellness fads. He wants to show up better for his family, but he really doesn't know where to start. He's not the kind of person that would go to therapy, but he'll open up if he feels like something is practical and real. And he's looking around him and he's seeing his coworkers are burned out, and he knows he's really close to the edge. So he too wants a change, but man, he doesn't want the same old, same old. So those are two of the people that I had in mind, kind of compilations of all the people I've interacted with over the years. And so I've created the WholeQ Mind Body Detox to help them. And I'm going to go through the details of this program because I'm so excited because I think it has an opportunity to help so many people. So with WholeQ, we're reimagining the way we think about health and wellness through emotional clarity, behavioral architecture, and really AI-powered self-leadership. Those are the three critical elements, and I'll explain why those are the three critical elements. Let me first just remind people who may not have tuned in to the podcast in the past what my inspiration for all this is really a mission born from my own personal loss. I've lost all my immediate family members, three sisters, a brother, mother and father, to these chronic health issues. And what I learned over the years is this: it's not just about the physical stuff. This is emotional, behavioral, it's systemic. And oftentimes our healthcare system does a great job of dealing with the symptoms. You get medication, treatment, all that stuff, but we don't do a great job of dealing with the root causes. So I have been on a mission really over the last decade or so to think about the root causes. We are really combining emotional intelligence and lifestyle medicine, which I think I think I'm the pioneer of. I'll refer to this a little bit later, but I did a clinical study several years ago, and we looked at education about plant-based nutrition as well as emotional intelligence training. But back then, nobody else was doing that. And still, when you run a search for emotional intelligence and plant-based nutrition, our study is the first thing that comes up. So I think I was a little bit ahead of my time then, and hopefully I'm right on time now as we talk about the whole Q mind body detox. It's important for us to understand just the scope of this problem. $47 trillion globally is spent on chronic health issues. We're talking about diabetes, cancer, heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's. In the US alone, it's 4.5 trillion overall, and about 4 trillion of it is specifically for chronic health conditions and mental health conditions. So it's a lot of money, and obviously it's affecting a lot of people. Almost 130 million people, which is about 60% of the population, has at least one chronic health issue, and 42% have two or more chronic health issues. So it is a real problem. And the most frustrating part is that this stuff, it maybe doesn't have to happen for a lot of people. It can be avoided and it can even be reversed. Let's talk about change and what is going to be required for people to have a behavioral change. So the old model of change that was created, I think back in the 60s, talked about you have to be dissatisfied, so kind of dissatisfied. You got to have a vision for the future you want. So that V, a vision for the future. You have to take some initial first steps. So F is like the first steps. And all that together has to be greater than the resistance that you might face. So, I mean, it's an interesting model, but it's, in my mind, it's really incomplete. We need a more modern formula. So, of course, I created one. I think the D and V are still appropriate. You got to be dissatisfied. You got to want to change. You got to have a vision for what it is you want to see in the future. But then this when it gets a little bit dicey. You can't just start taking first steps when you don't know what to do. So you got to know what to change. So I added this W for knowing what to change. You got to know how to change. So if I know what to do, how do I get there though? And then you have to have a mechanism to help you implement the change. And even then, you got to have a mechanism, some kind of support system to help you sustain the change. So my model is D plus V plus W plus H plus I plus S. You know, you got to add all those together. Nothing can get skipped if we want people to make changes that are going to be long-term changes. And so what am I creating? Those two people that I described, they're dissatisfied and they have a sense of what kind of future they want. They have a vision for who they used to be that they want to get back to or who they want to become. So in terms of knowing what to change, there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of disinformation out there. We want to give people through what we're calling the WholeQ Academy. We want to take you to school. We're going to give you learning tracks with relevant, accurate, evidence-based information about chronic health issues. You're going to go through emotional intelligence training so you're able to better discern how to even take in this information and how you're reacting to this information. This is the whole self-awareness piece. The cornerstone of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. So you're going to have these learning tracks. We're going to give you the accurate information about what's necessary if you want to achieve health, knowing how to change. We have a 12-week program that lays out step by step this diet transition that you can make. Every couple of weeks, you make a little bit of a transition. It's really a plant-forward program. You start to incorporate more plants. You start to take out some things that we know are destroying your health. There's a 12-week protocol that you'll go through specifically around diet. There is a fitness plan associated with it. Fitness plan can be done just at home. You don't have to have a bunch of equipment. You don't have to have a gym membership. You can do it at home, specific workouts with some flexibility built into it for you, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, but a specific workout program. We also have abundant resources. For instance, we got a spice guide. If we're asking you to stop putting stuff like ketchup and salt and all that stuff in your food, we're giving you a guide of all these spices, how they might be used in food, what the medicinal properties are for those spices. We're going to give you tools for eating healthy over the holidays. We're going to give you tools for when you're traveling, when you're going to events, banquets and programs. So there's a whole host of tools that you'll have as part of this program. So you'll be learning the facts, and then you'll be getting a specific protocol for how to start to put those facts into action. And then the implementation. So we are going to infuse coaching into this process. Coaching is critical. We were missing that when I did the clinical trial. It's a way for people to get support so that they can start to really understand. You're going to take an emotional intelligence assessment as part of this. And what the coaching does is help you dig into that and uncover what might be holding you back from accomplishing your goal. So if it's impulse control, we're not just going to say, hey, just fix your impulse control. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk through, okay, let's explore this issue with impulse control. What does this mean to you? How has this affected you on a day-to-day basis? Tell me how you notice how impulses are trying to guide you, trying to lead you in a certain way. What strategies have you used in the past to try to overcome these? What's been effective? What's not been effective? We're going to go through specifically for you. This is custom, right? Because your issues might be different than other people's issues. But through this process, we're trying to uncover the root cause or root causes that are holding you back. So again, we got the information that you need. For most people, that's not enough. We got a guide that you need. Well, some people fall off, when they go into a particular program. We got this coach that is going to help you build some agency, self-awareness. Coach is not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you, you got to do X, Y, Z. That's what the 12-week program is. That's what the learning tracks are. By the time you sit in the coaching session, we're not talking about you have to do X, Y, Z. I am asking you questions. In the other part of the program, you ask all the questions. In this part of the program, I get to ask all the questions because we're going to explore what's going on with you. I won't be a therapist. I won't be an advisor or consultant. I'll be a thought partner as you try to sort out what it is you need to do to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. Of course, we'll have a community that everybody will be a part of, and that's part of the S, the sustaining the change. So those are the elements of the program. I'll talk about them a little bit more specifically. This WholeQ Academy. I mentioned the pillars, or in this case, we're calling them batteries, because your battery could be low or high in either one of these categories. The 8 batteries are emotional health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, social health, family health, professional health, and financial health. I think those are all the domains of health. Those are all the things that drive us. And if you get one of those batteries really, really low, we're going to see some effect of that on these other domains. You'll be able to note what your battery is and have resources to help you recharge those batteries. The mind body detox, I mentioned there's a diet transition plan, there's a body transformation program, there's a meal planning system as part of this where you can get to pick and choose a little bit. We give you some sample recipes, some sample meals, but we give you the ability to pick and choose what works for you. Again, there's an emotional intelligence track that are a series of really, really short micro-learning videos around various aspects of emotional intelligence. There's Nutrition 101. You can look up whatever you wanted to know about nutrition, and Fitness 101 is also part of that program. You can look up whatever it is you need to know. I mentioned that I did a study several years ago. We just published a paper back in 2023 in Global Advances in Integrative Medicine and Health. And the conclusion of that study reads like this. This study provides preliminary evidence that lifestyle programs combining nutritional interventions and EI can have a significant impact on BMI and LDL. That's where we saw the most difference. Our study highlights the potential importance of both nutrition and EI in programs targeting diet and lifestyle modification. So I've taken everything that we learned in that study and everything that I've learned since then in working with individuals and plugged up any gaps that we had. And that's why the coaching is important. And that's why more sophisticated, more intentional training in emotional intelligence is required. And adding a community as well is something that's going to be helpful because I'm looking for positive outcomes in not only BMI and LDL, but also A1C, blood pressure, mood, energy levels. We feel like if you do what we say over 12 weeks, virtually you're guaranteed to have improvements in those categories. So I'm really excited about that. I think the coaching is a critical aspect of this. There's a quote I can read you here from a study that looked at patients with chronic health issues who got coaching compared to those who didn't. Health coaching was particularly effective in changing chronically ill patients' lifestyle behavior and improving their self efficacy, physical, and mental health status. So it's critical to have that coaching because what's going on with you may be very different than what's going on with even other people in your household. So we want to meet you where you are. Now, what's going to be great about this, the mind body detox, is a challenge under the physical health battery. And we're going to roll out new challenges all the time under those batteries. So I said all that. Let me go back to the beginning. This is really, really important to me. You all know that I've lost all my family members to these chronic health issues, but it's not just that I'm, somebody who's passionate about it. I mean, I got a little bit of background in this. So this is again for people who might be new to the show. I want to go through just all the things that help fuel the approach to this, and particularly the coaching. So I have a doctorate degree in education and educational leadership and really kind of understanding how we learn. I have an MBA and a master's in industrial and labor relations, which is really human resource management from Cornell, which is perennially the top HR school in the country. I have a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Illinois that has this odd combination of sociology with a concentration in engineering because I spent a lot of time in engineering before I knew I wanted to be an HR person. So I mention that because that's why I developed these models. For you're going to see in the training program, I have a model for everything because that's the way my brain still works. So I've had some recognition as an HRD Global 100 HR influencer. I was named as the top 100 HR influencer by Engagedly. I've written a couple books, In Search of Humanity and The Fragile Mind. I have various certifications, including emotional intelligence, intercultural sensitivity, mediation. I just got this year, plant-based nutrition, personal training, weight management, life coaching, executive coaching. I'm currently in an OD coaching program. So all of that experience, all of that learning is going into fueling this program. And I've been featured in a documentary, Eating You Alive. I think it's still out there. You can probably still get that documentary. It was one of the early ones. So I am bringing to bear, everything that I've learned over the years about health and wellness, but also about emotional intelligence, how we make decisions, what changes our behavior, where it doesn't quite work well, how it could work well. I wish that we had something like this when my family members were around, and I'm hoping that we can use something like this so that your family doesn't have to go through what mine have gone through. So that is the program. You might have a lot of questions about this. Reach out to me. Send me a direct note to Jarek at humanlikeme.com. Jarek at humanlikeme.com. We can schedule some time for you to learn a little bit more about the program, the pricing. I have an individual price, but I also have a group price. I've been fascinated by group coaching over the past year or so. It is turning out to be very effective because not only is the client learning from the coach, but the client is forming this bond with the other people who are being coached and holding each other accountable, learning from each other. People are saying, "Hey, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work," and it's been really insightful. So I'm offering both individual one-on-one live coaching as well as group coaching. The idea is that you'll have a coaching session every week throughout that program every week. And again, you're not asking the coach questions and the coach is not giving you answers. You know, this is, I am going to be asking questions to really make you think about who you are, why you are, how you are. So that is what has been keeping me busy. I have been in the lab working on this thing, trying to make it as comprehensive as I possibly can. And every time I think, "Hey, this is good," I think of 3 or 4 other guides and resources, resources for people with menopause and perimenopause, resources for, people trying to raise healthy kids, resources for seniors. I mean, I have all these specific resources built into this program. And so hopefully you've heard something that resonates with you. If you think this is something that you can use or somebody in your family can use, reach out to me. And before I go, let me say this. I think it's really important for spouses to do something like this together. And I am certainly offering some significant, really significant discounts for people who bring their spouses in. It's just so important. The likelihood of you being able to do this if you're the only one in your house is lower than if you brought your family along. So I'm doing everything I can to encourage that to happen. Look, thank you all so much. If there are Marcuses and Nicoles out there listening to this, reach out to me. I have something for you that I think is different than probably anything you've tried before. We won't shame you. We won't judge you. We will work to help you hold yourself accountable. You'll have the clarity that you'll need. You'll have the agency that you need to achieve whatever the goals are you decide you want to achieve in this program. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Healthy and Black. I look forward to hearing from you. It's Jarek at humanlikeme.com. Take care. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Healthy and Black. I'm your host, Dr. Jarek Conrad. If you have feedback on today's episode, please email info@jarekconrad.com. I love to hear from you. Don't forget to visit jarekconrad.com to subscribe to my blog. Thanks for listening. Please tell your friends about the podcast. Until next time, don't let culture, cost, or convenience ruin your health.